Hello, gorgeous souls. I'm Michelle Rosetta, and this is Stories Not to Take to the Grave, a podcast inspired by the rich sharing of traditional wisdom and know-how with storytelling. I believe the remedy our communities deeply require for health and well-being is rooted in our own authentic and unedited tales. Some of what we fear to speak or that which is seemingly mundane to us is exactly what those around us may need to hear in the way we speak our truth. I am a mother of 4, an entrepreneur, and a clinical herbalist. Plant medicine being one of the modalities I work with to assist my community. I have the tendency to make questionable choices, jump off things I shouldn't, along with the uncanny ability to turn it around to land on my feet. It is not only in victory that deep healing lies, but also in our mishaps and trials. Independently and with guests, we will cover topics to support our sovereign journeys to our best versions of wellness. I am not a doctor, and clinical herbalists are not licensed in Canada. Anything discussed pertaining to plants, protocols, and health in general are for educational purposes only. Every body is different. What works for one may not be the answer for another. It is your responsibility and duty to decide whether a course of action recommended to you, no matter it be by your family doctor or natural practitioner, is right for you. During this podcast, we will grow our personal discernment abilities and learn to take off the layers covering the self that lies within, so we may listen in a more profound way. So let's roll up our proverbial sleeves, start digging, and get down and dirty with everything that makes us already fabulous and on our way up. And, of course, please subscribe, share, and leave a review if you enjoy this content. Let's get digging. I recorded this episode in 2024 with Adrian Neagu, Anna Cyzon, and their 2-week-old daughter, Aria, who was born on the total solar eclipse on April 8th, 2024. I tried to use a podcast tool to help me with the audio, and it ended up creating some sounds in the background like "we are not alone," a strange undercurrent of whispers and voice clips. The help that I was looking for to remove the sounds did not pan out, so I decided ultimately to edit this myself to the best of my ability and just get it done. I also made some mistakes that I feel are a bit cringeworthy, but it is what it is. Moving forward and doing the work is woven into the theme of this episode, so all of this is quite suitable. I have so much gratitude that Adrian and Anna entrusted me with such an intimate time. We talk about the chaos and blessing of their unexpected pregnancy, how it not only tested them as individuals, but strengthened the bond they share in their own personal discernment in life. They felt being in the entertainment world prepared them fully to take the birthing stage. Anna discusses the unnecessary fear-based opinions that were shared with her as an expecting mother, and how this experience has given her an understanding of allowing yourself to grow and move into alignment, rather than stubbornly fighting for the story you think you want. She shares some humorous Polish wisdom and what it looks like to keep her online commitments while leaking and breastfeeding, 2 things of which she did not see herself doing. Adrian offers important how-tos on advocating for self and baby when birthing in a hospital setting, along with what happened when forgetting the placenta in the communal freezer. Together, they remind us of when we are in a place of allowing, this life script often has much more to offer than what we are able to conceive of. Nonetheless, we must know we are the directors of this story, and it is up to us to feel for what is right for our individual selves, along with the ability to stand in that power. I welcome you to join me in listening to their story. I don't even know what to say. I am so excited to see you 3. You look gorgeous. I want to introduce you. So this is Anna Cyzon, Adrian Neagu, and for the first time ever,
Yeah, I like
that.
Neagu.
Aria Sophia Cyzon. I like Neagu. I think it's
Neagu.
How am I supposed to say that, Adrian? Neagu? Oh, that was my French side. I'm so sorry. Neagu. Bonjour.
I
No,
like
merci. So,
It's like repeat zone. They're like, this is I'm like, okay.
so I'm going to intro all three of you, so that we understand the glorious souls you are and what you are doing on this earth. So, Anna, as many know, is a Polish-Canadian singer, songwriter, and performer. She is a former Top 20 Idol finalist, MTV Canada host, and represented her homeland in the Eurovision Song Contest in 2010, placing second in the pre-selections with her song Love Me from her self-titled independent debut. She's since followed with the release of a 7-song EP, a full-length Polish and English album, Letters to Love, from which she started releasing singles in 2019. Her highly infectious Wannabe, a collaboration with British-Canadian producer Alex Reid, can also be heard on Spotify, and the music video was shot in Ecuador and has over 3 million views on YouTube. But it wasn't until 2021 that Anna would release her most personal songs yet, Lay Your Body and Losing You, after her breakup. In addition, that year, she recorded and released a Polish debut, Pierowiski Raz, I can't say it right, with Powell Now Rocky, and shot a music video in the city in which she was born. And now we are into a whole other phase. And introducing Adrian Neagu, you have a career that spans 20 years in arts and entertainment. You have held managerial operations and sales roles with TIFF and Cineplex, planning over 500 events. Recently, Adrian started his new company, A+ Hospitality and Event Partnerships, and gets to plan some of the city's best private events for conventions and festivals. Through his network, he selects only the city's newest and finest venues, working with luxury brands for partnering the organizations he serves. As his company name suggests, every detail is thought out in A+ style. And welcome to Aria Sophia Cyzon-Neagu, our little solar dragon seed baby. We are so overwhelmed that you navigated such intense energy and chose such a strong vessel, such as Anna, to make your safe arrival. I want to say the deepest congratulations to you all, but also, without further ado, may you, Aria Sophia Cyzon-Neagu, be blessed with grace, wisdom, courage, beauty, the gift of song, and above all else, divine protection in all spaces in all times. And so it is. Welcome, Aria, to Earth.
So this round, that was such a beautiful introduction. Was that rehearsed?
I know you can only see the profile of her face, but she just seems in awe right now, listening to all of this with her mouth
I
open
just
like,
I have to say, like, actually, I want to cry. Like, I am just overwhelmed with gratitude. And looking back, Anna, it's almost like we've been prepping for this for a decade. Like, if you look back, it's like what?
No.
It's just I've always, I believe, but I really felt like we have witnessed a miracle. And even the whole solar eclipse and new moon, like, Anna, you can't script that stuff. Like,
And you said that to me in a text, I think, when I was still in the hospital the next day after delivery, being like, what just
how are you feeling right now?
I am feeling so everybody scares you about everything, the pregnancy, the delivery, the postpartum. So now I'm in the third phase, or the fourth trimester. And of course, it's been an emotional roller coaster ride. And of course, I cry almost daily, but they're, like elated emotions of joy and just happiness, and looking at this little like peanut and just being reminded of, what a miracle it is to be able to create something so magnificent, like another life form with another human being. It is the utmost of creation. Like I said to Adrian the other day, people put planes in the sky and, end up on Mars or wherever they're going these days. But there still is no more thing powerful in this earth than a man and a woman coming together and creating a child. So being able to like be a part of this now and having this experience is again, there are no really words to describe it. It's just a feeling, a constant feeling of joy, gratitude, happiness. So I'm not really feeling this postpartum, this even the physical recovery, which is supposed to be, you're going to get ripped open and you're going to bleed and you won't be able to do this, that, just as it was during pregnancy. You can't box and you can't, cycle and you can't do this and that. So I've like the warrior in me has fought through and boxed like everything and everyone to get to the other side, which is my truth and my experience. And it's been just like this relationship. Like when people ask, how are you and Adrian? Like it's been great. The pregnancy's been great. The delivery was great. Of course, I had some help, which, we will get to because I was very torn about any kind of medication versus having.
I definitely want to get to that, and I have a very a focused question about that, just so that we can really be helping others through this process right now, and really a re-education of what it means to birth a child into this planet. Adrian, what was this experience like for you?
Out of this world. I just also want to touch on to go along with Anna's feeling, because honestly, her body has gone through all of this, and I was just supporting it, and we've been obviously in it together throughout. But just to answer more as to what she was feeling, I think one of the things I noticed even when we were at the hospital, and I appreciate about Anna, which is a little bit different for me. I by profession, I'm a planner, and I like to foresee things, and I like to be on top of the game and say, okay, now this is going to happen, and we have to be ready for this, and we have to be ready for that.
Which is so good for me because I'm like,
and Anna's just in the moment. So when you're asking her how she felt and how she feels, literally she feels as if she's in every moment and she's experiencing it. It's not thought out. It's just holistic and it's real. And I noticed this with all of the nurses and the care staff and everybody who was involved in our pregnancy. Is they literally looked at us and it's like, well, have you been doing classes? What's your birth plan? What's all of this? And obviously we had ideas and we talked about all of this stuff, but the amount of openness that she has to everything really made everybody feel comfortable. And I think like how we're feeling from all of this is we have our wishes, we know what we want for ourselves, and we're on the same page. So that's very easy to answer your question about how we feel. I feel that we're both feeling the same things, which is really helpful. I don't feel, because we're both business owners ourselves, and we both are sort of out of the 9-to-5 game. It's not like one of us is working 9 to 5 and the other one is at home. That energy is mixed, and one has having to go out and spend less time with the child while the other one stays at home. It's very much a shared responsibility right now, and we're doing our fair share of diaper changes. Obviously, I can't breastfeed, but
he's got the bottle. I'm pumping like getting milked like a cow.
Get pictures while you can. Literally, like everyone thought I had augmentation with my first, right?
I will say, Adrian literally has a video of me walking around in the kitchen with my tits out and like just leaking milk, and we're like, what is happening? And they're just like, and the people that I have sent my boobs to, like my sister, cousin, I'll send them to you too. They were like, oh my God, like, your boobs are double D, and I'm like 118, 20 pounds. I haven't weighed myself since the birth. But point being is like, that is not a proportional size boob for a woman, my bone structure, my weight, my height. But yeah, I'm loving it. And I think Adrian is too. It's just, we have to wait out this period, since we're only a week and a day since birth, to
Yeah, and we're in show business, so in terms of stepping on stage and making sure you're turned on. And I think I was talking to a colleague yesterday who was in my industry too, and he has kids, and we were just saying it's like I told him, I said, Tony, it feels like festival mode. Like we work for Toronto Film Festival where we have 300 films in 10 days, and the word exhaustion doesn't even exist. It's like we're beyond exhausted. It's like you don't even know what exhausted feels like anymore. You don't even have time to comprehend your exhaustion. You're just in it. You're plugged in and you're in it. And I guess adrenaline takes over, where you're just concerned about, for the child, for the well-being of your partner, for getting enough food, for making sure you're attended to everything. And you're sleep deprived, but it comes to a point where you're just sleep deprived so much that you don't even realize that you're sleep deprived anymore, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. I'd love to comment on what you were talking about in terms of being in the moment versus the planning. Because even for myself, I was like, but they need to know this and they need to know this. But because it's like Anna and I have been prepping this bond for this amount of time, like that's where there's divine timing, right? And I kept being like, I can't be overbearing. I can't be that crazy woman who's like being overbearing. I just need to be available for when the timing is necessary. And that was really hard for me. Because I was like, I know Anna is a warrior, and that whole living in the moment, you have this incredible ability to respond on such a high frequency level in the moment. Like where I'm like, you're like, Michelle, what are you talking about? Like, well, there's this theory and this theory and this theory. And you're just like, let's just go do it. Right. And
yeah, I think that I should be like the face for Nike or something. Like, just do it. But yes, to add to that, I just had a train of thought, but baby brain has taken over. I think I thrive in chaos is what I wanted to say.
We both do.
So the more chaotic things are, like the more things are like case in point, then the day of the birth, you were coming down here. We were planning to, go do an offering and sit down for the solar eclipse and do what we've done before, which has been this journey and this preparation up to this point, right? Checking in with each other, holding each other accountable. And I love and adore you for that as a obviously friend outside of what we do together in terms of our businesses, and I get to collaborate. But as a friend, you have really held me, accountable, and you have really checked in with me throughout the years. And we have a friendship, I think, now spanning over 10 years, which is incredible. And you have pushed me on the right track without telling me what to do, because then I would revolt against you, because that's my nature. But point.
Oh, Anna.
Oh, Anna. Us planning to do this sit on the day of her birth, which I didn't know was happening at the time. I was still like, oh no, these contractions, they're going to go away, or I'll just manage them because I have plans with Michelle today. She's on her way here. And we're going to do this, circle, and we're going to sit and we're going to check in with each other. And that's basically my life. I'm like, yes, yes, yes. Just do it. Say yes to everything and everyone. Respond to everybody right away, immediately, in the moment. And, while something like this little baby is saying, no, F you, I'm coming into this world right now and you need to reschedule. So until it got to the point where the pain was level 12 and Adrian was like, we need to go to the hospital. Hun. When he calls me hun, I know it's serious.
Adrian, you are a star. Do you know that? Because if anyone, like I said, these are these things you cannot script out. Anna is in the birthing room, and I'm like, okay, Adrian, you need to know this about the placenta, the umbilical cord, and I'm like, I'm on the gardener. And I'm telling Nico, I'm like, Nico, look up placenta. And with Siri in the phone, I'm like, it's got to get to Adrian right now. So between Nico and I, we're screenshotting these things because I'm trying to find information that can be easily read and that you could access and integrate quickly, right?
Thank you, because we were also looking for your information, we were also looking for the information and your opinion on it. So
I know, I was like, ask Michelle. I'm like, they're going to induce labor. Ask Michelle.
But
and Adrian's like,
And to be honest, the nurse was saying it's like we still have time. We still have a few hours. Like this is still early labor, so you still have time. And I loved how circumstantial they were about everything, because it was, and that's what they said. It's we can make a plan, and we have epidurals and we have all these things, everything, but you have time to decide all of that, and you can decide all of that based on how you feel. So they're like, start this, and if you want to start it, then you can increase your dose. This is how it works. So that's what I think created all of that, is us realizing when we were in the moment and when we got to the hospital that people that were there around us were open to the fact of everything being circumstantial. Like I had the birth plan in hand and I had everything checked off, and we looked at all of that with them, and then they said, okay, that's great to know what your wishes are, but it is going to be circumstantial based on how the baby comes out, how she's feeling, how her pain level is, how if we notice anything else, right? If the tests show anything else, we're going to communicate that. And they just said, just promise that you'll be open to letting the circumstances dictate what your wishes are, right? Rather than sticking to the script, so to speak. And Anna doesn't like to stick to the script, as we all know, right? So that was.
I have my own.
You know what? I mean, I don't want to get into all the different personal choices you made. Just that I think we can see that there may be somewhat of a disconnect between. Do whatever boob stuff you need. There really is a disconnect, though, between what a healthy birthing process is and taking care of baby when they arrive, and what we've been told for a very long time. So I was just so proud of you, Adrian, that you really did step in as I'm going to take care of this here. And one of those examples was when I was sending the information about the umbilical cord, which is so incredibly important. And that's one of the less, personal ones that has great value to let everybody else know. These are important fluids that are required to get to baby. Right. And the practices around that have not been supportive for a very long time. And the brilliant thing is this was also, see, when you go through something like this, yes, you guys are the stars, but everybody else has to learn. I had to learn, because I can be a little bit like when you called about the one thing and I'm like, no. And I'm like, wait, this is your baby. You choose. But I was like, no. When it came to that whole umbilical cord, I had sent the information. And then at the same time, you're having discussions with the supports in the hospital. But Adrian, you were a star, because literally you sent back one thing. I was like, well, maybe just read a little bit further. And you did. Anna's in labor, you read further, and then you sent back the info like it was a homework session, circled and read. You're like, oh, we need to, if you'd like to explain more about that, because that is a huge amount of value that was successful in your experience that really will help so many other new parents. I would love for you to elaborate on it.
I think it's just understanding the implications. Thank you for saying that. And I realized very quickly in the moment that it's understanding the implications on your decisions. So, for example, if you decide to cut the umbilical cord at 1 minute or under a minute, this is how many nutrients are going to be flowing to the baby once it comes out. Versus if you keep it on for 2 minutes or 3 minutes, or when the cord is completely clear and there's no more red fluid, or the cord is looking like it's clear and then it's completely empty. And then you read the risks, and you read what are the risks behind it. Why do they like to cut it early? Because of jaundice, because they've heard that jaundice exists. And then jaundice, you read on and on that it's also, you're more subsessive to jaundice based on your, if your parents, if it's hereditary, and also culturally as well too. Some different cultures have more jaundice. So it's all of this information, and you have to quickly put it together, and you really have to quickly make a decision. So for me, you become more like your partner the more time you spend with them. So Anna doesn't like to make a decision if she doesn't have to, right?
Libra.
So she doesn't like making decisions. So there was no way I knew we could come to a decision and we could decide how long, for example, the umbilical cord we would want to have cut, because we weren't in the moment, and there's no way I could have that conversation with her ahead of time and be practical about it and get an answer unless we were in the moment. So it was very helpful to have the information and to be able to point out to Anna, boom, boom, boom. If we keep it for 1 minute, this is what it is. If we keep it for longer, this is what it is. And if we keep it until it's exhausted, this is what it is. And these are the risks. Boom, done in like 10, 15 seconds. We can make the decision in the moment, because a lot of the decisions is based on the circumstances and how you feel. Like for Anna, I noticed it was very much about the level of care that she was getting and the level of trust that she had with also the nurses and people that were around her, that also impacted her decisions, because if she didn't jive with the doctor or trust the doctor that was, with her 100% of the time and what they were saying, she may have chosen something differently in the moment, right? And the doctors also like to deal with somebody that is not so stubborn, and nobody likes to deal with somebody that they're stubborn. So if you go in there with the perception of an open mind, where you know what you're going to do, but there's that perception of the open mind, and you listen and you hear them out, and then you're like, thank you, I've heard you out, like, this is great. And she did tell me, she repeated multiple times, the doctor, like, look, the fluid is all out, like, we have to, thank you for that, I understand, let's just keep it for 30 seconds.
I'm so proud of you. Like, you, oh my God, like,
are you okay? Yeah. Are you okay? This is not hurting. But you realize there's going to be jaundice. And I go, yeah. And Anna and I looked at each other, and I didn't get jaundice. And Anna didn't get light jaundice. She did have a little bit of jaundice.
All you got to do is keep feeding her. And then they said that it would go away as soon as you feed her,
feed her regularly. And we knew that Anna started lactating and all of those things a little bit earlier on. So we knew in terms of, she was already latched on. Baby was already latched on, I think, even from before they cut the umbilical cord.
Yeah, they gave her to me when the umbilical cord was still attached.
You have no idea. You have no idea how special and how healthy that is. Because what they have done in the past, what was happening was they were taking out the placenta, pulling it out, which makes women hemorrhage, right? You have to birth. It's your second birthing. Right. And then when that placenta comes out, you don't detach the umbilical cord right away. You throw baby on mama and you start feeding it. Well, those fluids that's getting all of those nutrients from the placenta. So I'm just over the moon. I'm like, you guys are rock stars.
Yeah. And I realize also 2 times are different post-COVID and also post everything that happened in the hospital system as a result of vaccines and as of everything. And I sense that the notion now in the healthcare system here in Canada, here where we are, no matter if we went to, the hospital, because we did go to the hospital before the birth, because in one of the ultrasounds, we found out that there was no practice breathing. And just as a precaution, they sent us there. So what we realized, because it was both at the same hospital that we gave birth, so that kind of helped us see the vibe. But what we realized very early on now in the labor and for what we're seeing with the healthcare system is we live in a litigious society, and we live in a society where, we should have rights to our healthcare, and everybody has their own opinions and should dictate what happens to them. And so they very much respect that now. They're very much about, these are our policies and procedures, but you have to make the decision, and we are not going to tell you what to do. Because once we tell you what to do, we are assuming liability for that decision. And, when the hospital takes liability for something, that's something very serious. So another point was the hospital's policy is to hold us for 24 hours after the birth to complete their testing. And they explained to us, this is why we have to do it. And we told them the hospital is full, eclipse babies. There's lots of eclipse babies that were there. It's very unlikely, like it happens maybe once a month, every full moon or so, that the hospital is full, but it was full. And they said, yeah, this is what happens when it's full. You guys don't get a private room, essentially, just
There
because
was
there was no space.
They couldn't accommodate
They
us.
couldn't accommodate the private room, and the experience was just horrible. Staff were very friendly, and they were understaffed, and everybody was doing the best that they could, and you could see that, and we were very appreciative of that.
But the conditions
were not it.
Because of overcrowding. So Adrian the next day was like, we're out of here. Like, get this IV out of your hand.
Yeah, like this is hurting her. And Anna's like, it's not really hurting me. And I'm like, just let's step by step prepare for like getting out of here.
Yeah,
and then one of the head nurses who was there for over 20 years calling the show, and you could tell that she was very up and this is what's going to happen. And I said, listen, we're leaving here. Like, there is no, you need to do your tests, but I'm overhearing you talk to other people, and there's midwives involved, and people are going out of
you were divinely cared for. You know that, right? Like, when you told me you had a midwife coming, I was like, yes.
So she's like, we can't guarantee at this point you do not have a midwife schedule. I said, at this point, your hospital is over capacity, and I am doing you a favor by getting out of here when you have a lineup out the door of people that you have to take care of, right? Am I right? And what can she say to that? They can't say anything to that. If there was no shortage, if, they had more time to spend on us and helicopter over us, then probably we wouldn't have, we would have been treated differently, and we would have gotten the private room. And again, circumstances, it's all circumstantial, right? You can't plan for this stuff. You don't know that you're going to give birth during the eclipse. You didn't know that during the eclipse, the hospital would be out of capacity. I
forgot, those babies are like,
get me out of here. I forgot the placenta in the hospital when we left.
Oh my God.
And so we had to go back, and we came home and we're like, where's the placenta? It's still in the freezer in the hospital. Well, where in the freezer is it? And
she left it in the communal fridge.
In the freezer, not the fridge. I wouldn't put it in the fridge, but in the communal freezer. And then it's like, you have to go back. Well, what are you going to say? You can't say we left the placenta.
I'm so sorry.
And then
this is brilliant.
So we went back. The point of all of that is I go back, and it's like literally now it's past midnight and everything. So the eclipse is over. We're home. It's the next day, and the hospital is empty. All the rooms are empty. And I go in there. There's nothing left in the fridge, even the communal fridge, but the placenta. All the private beds are empty. The semi-private beds are empty. There's literally maybe only one or two nurses there. And it's like, wow, what a different story than less than 24 hours ago when this place was booming. It was full, everybody with all kinds of cases. And, you want to protect your child in that case because, germs are everything. You're just born. The baby's trying to sleep. We're trying to sleep.
And there's a couple noises next door.
There's a couple next door arguing. Their drama. It feels like we were listening to a Maury Povich episode of their own personal life and lack thereof for their partners doing and whatever have you. And then we were trying to get rest. And when they were trying to get rest, she was awake and she was crying. So it was just like after a few hours, I just noticed this is unpractical. This is just unproductive. And you can't be scared of what you're told. There's always another way around it.
Yeah, for every child, the first two, I had midwives. There was a birthing room attached to the hospital birthing center. So I just had the baby, and then I got up and left. And then with the other two, I did have a midwife for my third, but they couldn't make it in time. And I was same thing, Anna. I was like, well, I just got to clean the barn before we head to the hospital. It was in Kelowna. I'm so lucky that there was no traffic because I was 2 minutes apart. I was going to have the baby on the highway, and I got to the hospital, and basically my kids are all still here, and I left immediately because it is almost I felt more secure and more safe and more healthy going home. Baby's healthy. We've been doing this for thousands of years. I'm out of here because I don't want any poking and prodding. And I remember the only time I was in the hospital a bit longer, they came in to take the baby from me, and I was like, like, what are you doing? Because I'd never been in a hospital before. And they're like, well, you need sleep. I'm like, yeah, no, baby's going to stay with me. Just had the baby in my belly for 9 months. You are not taking this from me. And I was like, so they're like stepped out slowly from the room. And basically I told him, I told my ex-husband at the time, I'm like, just let's prepare to go now, because I am not wanting to be here. But it is whatever. It's all circumstantial. This is what I just wanted to premise on what you guys said. It is circumstantial, because if we have healthy baby, healthy mom, healthy birth, all these things are going well, there is no reason for all of these different medical interventions. And I would also like to say, we do prep for it, though, Anna. You have been prepping for a very long time. And that preparation is your emotional, mental, physical balance, solidity, and your energy, right? Because I'm sitting on the other side, I'm like, I wonder what they're doing now. I can't call. It's a private moment. And then I'm like, her energy and everything that is involved is going to divinely protect them in all ways. And look at that. I couldn't even, because I was like, you are going to be overbearing if you call about the midwife. And then how amazing is it that you just overheard that people are booking midwives and leaving the hospital, right? Because that's what I so wanted to be able to say, but I'm like, you cannot say anything else. Quiet. They're going to be okay. But all of that, I would highly suggest, is because when you are energetically preparing your body, your mind, and your spirit for this type of manifestation in the world, then you are going to have all those things timed perfectly coming in for your most successful result, right?
Going to be a flow, and right down to, if we rewind, or not right down, but if we even go back and rewind to the conception, how like in my previous relationship and both Adrian's, like there was resistance there on one end or the other, and things weren't aligned energetically, things weren't happening. Adrian and I didn't even really discuss kids. I think it was just something that we both like innately knew. And then when it happened and I was pregnant, he's like, you're pregnant. And I'm like, I'm pregnant. And then everything just flowed right down to the delivery, right down how, how it was executed. And I just want to say that I'm so thankful that I have somebody like him who, was such an amazing co-pilot, and very like attentive and very proactive, and someone that I could just like literally relax and just focus on pushing. And I knew I was held and supported in the whole process. So
how do you think this arrival has changed your relationship with self and your relationship with each other?
I feel so much closer to Adrian. I think, he obviously proposed to me back in September, and people get married first. And even my mom was like, oh, this is so backwards. It's not, actually. In my utopia, like, fantasy society, people would have kids first, because nothing says commitment more than bringing a child into the world, and nothing bonds you more to your partner, like seeing him father this little nugget, or just be with her. And like, I'm like, this is equally as yours as it is mine. It's so beautiful. And no matter what happens with us, like, I don't think I could ever feel any type of resentment or bad, like I feel like I will have like an endless unconditional love for you for having created this child with me, and being responsible to care and love for it for the rest of your life. Like, what else can you ask for? And that brings you so much closer to someone. And then when you see them pull their weight, like when I see him trying to be on calls and manage, and we know how men are at multitasking. And when I see him try, like, it's so wholesome, and it really melts my heart. because that's what as you know, Michelle, being a mom of four, that's what motherhood and parenthood is all about. Like literally before this interview, I had an online class as I teach English part-time, and thankfully the student was blind, because as I was sitting there, I started leaking. Both tits were just like spewing milk. Adrian wasn't home. He's like, I'm just going downstairs for a minute. Like 40 minutes later, he's not, which is fine. That's life, right? But I'm leaking, I'm teaching, and I'm like, I need to act. So I put the breast pump, the automatic one, on one tit, and then I have a handheld one, which I had to sterilize in the meantime. So I'm sterilizing the thing. It's cooking with boiling water. Then I latch it onto my right tit. Then I'm sitting there with my tits out. Thank God this guy can't see me. He can only hear me. And I'm manually pumping one tit on the floor, because the machine, the automatic one on my left tit, is on the floor. The computer is on the floor. I'm sitting there in my underwear with my legs like sprawled with two breast pumps attached. And Aria starts crying. And it was right around the time when I was finishing, because when she started crying, I'm like, now what? Right? So now I would have to put her on one tit, milk the other, and while, simultaneously a class is happening. But this is just the behind the scenes of what you need to learn how to manage, at least in the early stages, before you start to call for help from one grandma and the other, which we are both fortunate to have here. Or we even discussed like eventually having a nanny or someone come here to help. But right now, you don't want to give this, this is so precious and so fragile. And it's like, I don't want it in the hands of strangers. And even grandmas, as amazing they are, we both talked, they are in their age group as well. And they of course will spend lots of time with Aria as she's getting older as well. But right now, I just feel like this bonding and this intimacy is just, it's so special. And if we can handle it, which we are.
Yep.
Somehow. I mean, all parents do. They figure it out, right? That it's just something that we don't want it to pass us by, because everyone tells you how fast it goes, and before you know it, they're going off to college. And I'm like, no, just hold on a second. Let us be in this moment and let us enjoy. So this is where we're at.
And what we're realizing more and more is like, now that we're leveling at the point of exhaustion, and there's so many things on the go, as we both like apparently to have happen. I think of this often. It's not about showing up for the 10 things that you have to do, because you do commit, and she does commit to like 10 things all at once. It's about what is needed, like what is not what you want to have happen for each of those 10 things that you're trying to do, be it breastfeeding, be it on a call, being at and you feel like you have to do everything. And I'm just using that as an example because she was just talking about it. But it's about what is needed now. And I'm realizing that more and more. It's like, I have to go downstairs and I have to attend to this, but it's like, then a few other things come up. But is that what's needed right now? Like, that's not really what's needed. And then so I'm finding out like more and more now for myself as well too. It's my decisions and my own day-to-day impacts my partner and impacts my daughter in turn. So it's thinking outside of yourself and thinking for your family. And once you think you're able to think that way, you're really able to differentiate between what's actually needed for my family and myself and what is, planned to have happen. Because what is planned goes out the window all the time, right? You don't know when she's going to cry. You don't know when she's going to poop. You don't know if it's going to be, in your face. Like literally I'm changing her. And then I got a golden shower, right? I've never had a golden shower in my life. And so,
you go
parenthood, right?
I think what you're talking about is you've leveled up in discernment, right? That's part of our journey forward, is learning discernment. And that is an incredible skill and a gift now that Aria has given to you. When we talk about
shower, or that's
like you know what? This is gonna be the best transcript ever. Like this, I'm just so excited about this transcript. You have no idea. What?
You can hashtag tits, golden shower.
Like the SEO is gonna be off the charts on it. So moving forward from the golden shower, what vision do you have for this world that Aria has newly arrived to? And this doesn't mean we're dealing with the realities or what you think it should be or what people tell you it is. What is the world that you want to see Aria participating in? What's your vision?
Wow.
That is so profound, and we think about that every single day, and we think about that every hour, because what we're exposing, the energy that we're exposing her to. And Anna and I are very much believers of energy, and energy is everything.
Currency.
Yeah, and we want her to understand from a very early on understand the energy. So even who we're around, or who we spend our time with, and
or how we show up
for her, how we show up for each other, is recognizing, I think, in terms of what we want the world to be, that is something that we think is out of our control. What is in our control is how we react to what happens, how we react if it's a rainy day, or if it's something horrific is going on in the world, or if there's a fire alarm here ringing in the condominium. So it's us foremost focusing on what's in our control, and we want to really hone in on that and not be too hard on ourselves, because we deserve also to make mistakes as well too, and be honest with each other. But what we want her to be is, we've read her horoscope, so we understand that she's a triple Aries.
Almost. She's very close to an Aries.
Anna has been with me during my children's, like the daughters, especially from like 13 to 18, and it was quite the ride. So I will be there for you.
You're so sweet. And if I may add to that, Michelle, because I'm sure it's going to be a ride with her, as it is for every parent with every child. But I think one of the biggest things for me, and I wrote that in the letter to her, because we got this cute little baby journal, and one of the pages was like, write a letter to your child. And I think if my baby brain memory serves me correctly, I want her to, in the world that Adrian says we have no control over, in the world of what it is where, vaccines are being pushed on us, where we're getting told, even in the hospital delivery room, I have to get a shot of oxytocin, which I refuse, by the way, right? So in that world where things will be imposed on you, where things will maybe even be mandatory, because we don't know what the future
Nothing
will
is
like.
mandatory, may I say that. We have complete sovereignty and autonomy of our bodies, so long as we say so. Keep going.
Thank you. Reminder of the crown tattoos that we both got together in Barrie. Or wherever
Collingwood. We walked in Collingwood. Everything's locked down, and we go to the back door and ask if we can get tattoos done.
It makes skeletons out of the closet. Adrian may not know about these stories.
I'm forever learning.
It'll never be boring. It will never be boring.
Never. Anyhow, just to finish this rant that I'm going on, we want her to be able to stand in her truth, I think, both of us, and know that she is sovereign in her reign, and that she has, full autonomy and power to decide who she wants to be in this world, how she wants to express herself. Me as an artist and free spirit, I would love for her to, whether it's through, and again, she is just my child that passed through me, but she is her own person with her own, whatever she decides to create in this world, her own personality, her own, who she becomes, essentially. That I want her to choose to freely express herself in whatever means, whatever vehicle she decides is her, vehicle of expression, whether that's through art, through music, through dance, through I don't know, science. Like she's going to be her own person, and we will only, both of us, have so much control over what her destiny, what her road, what her path in this life is. So long as she's happy, I always say to Adrian, she's not hurting anyone, she's not harming herself. We want her to be free in her decisions and powerful in her authentic self, whoever that may be that she turns up to be, but strong, like solid in her ground, deciding what is best for her and not what, the crowd is doing or what society wants you to do. I think that would make me very happy if she.
Yeah. What I do see too for us, having said all of that, is things that are in our control is like how often we travel and the fact that Anna is very well traveled compared to me. I am too, but you more so at a very early age from, what you did was travel for your music and, all the opportunities you had at such a young age. And I think that also shaped you into who you are and made you receptive to different cultures, different languages around the world. And I think that speaks to you. And we are a family. That is something that I wish I had more of. So I think, the fact that we're able to have that and I'm able to appease my partner in her wishes of continuing to travel. And it also serves me because I feel like I have less of that, or I've had less of that growing up. And in turn, it will also be great for our family, and it will also be great for Aria to experience different cultures and different parts of the world. And we live in a very global time right now, globalistic, everybody's sort of international. Nobody's really tied to any different really country or even religion or identity. So because of all of that, that's the time we live in, and it's about balance then, right? So it's about understanding everything. It's about experiencing everything. It's about being empathetic. And that's one thing. We're both very empathetic people. So we think that as a stubborn Aries, because she is close to a triple Aries, we know what her horoscope will be. The one thing that I wish for her is balance, right? Because off to any extremes is not healthy, right? Like that's when you put your body and yourself and the energy around you is extremism to any degree, whether it's too health conscious and too, thing where you're running, like all these marathons and you're overexerting your body, or, you're sitting on the couch all day.
That's a little stab at me.
Or you're sitting on the couch all day drinking beer, watching TV. Like there needs to be a balance. There needs to be a balance in lifestyle. There needs to be a balance in everything that we do. And when you find that healthy balance is when you're really able to find yourself and be happy with yourself. And that's the one thing we want for her, is we want her to be, of high self-worth and to have that self-value within her, that confidence. I feel that both Anna and I are very, confident people in the sense of we know who we are and we know what we want and we know what we don't want. And we're very vocal to the folks around us, respectfully, of course, about that. And yeah, we live in a time as well, too, where it's a digital society. Here we are.
Potentially. I'm going in a parallel system. I'm probably going to be like a herbal pirate and living in the back 40.
Yeah. But that is the world that surrounds us, though, right? So, you as well, too, Michelle, I think you go to that realm probably because, you don't want to go to the other extreme of, so you attract yourself and you pull away from that and you do something completely different to stay true to who you are, because that is what surrounds you. Something different than who you are perhaps surrounds you. So you want to go, you want to go to a place where you are able to do that. And then you'll come back to this place because it's always here for you. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's never going anywhere.
Toronto's not going anywhere. And I feel, if I may add, the more that you see of the world, the younger you are, then the better decision you could make of where your place on this earth is, or the more confused you'll be. But not a big problem to have. Maybe she's one of those people that is bi-coastal or, lives a little bit here or there. Again, it's going to be something that is beyond our control. And I think a lot of parents watch a helicopter. They want, oh, I'm a singer, so my daughter has to be a singer. Or, no, your daughter is just this thing or son that passes through you. As you know, Michelle, right? You birth these humanoids and then they go off into the world and they create their own. And all you can do really as a parent is be there, support them, so long as, again, they're not harming themselves, they're not harming others, protect them to the degree that you can while they're still young. And then when they don't need that protection, they go off into the world. And all you can do is say, I did the best I could with the cards that I was dealt and the circumstances, right? That my partner and I, if you are lucky enough to have one, I am very grateful for this beautiful soul over here that, we did the best we could.
Well, I just really like to quickly add to that part is that one, that when we are at the age where we're supporting new life coming in, you do go back and you're like, why didn't I do that properly? Or did I do that properly? Did the midwife? Because you build up this wisdom and then it is hard to not think, oh, I could have done a better job there, right? However, in that idea of we are doing the best that we can with the cards we were given, and then understanding that you're so right. These spirits are choosing to come through us to have an experience. And there's only so much we can control about that. And then ultimately, it is when we do the work on ourselves as parents, as creators, it ends up benefiting our children and everyone around us in ways that it's not a helicopter thing. When we're doing good for self and doing the work, which I think we've been doing, Anna, we've been, with all of the extreme tendencies we have, with all of the, the massive amount of energy though that we move through our bodies. And this Aria could not have come through you if you were not made of all those things. But that does not mean moving forward as we mature, I'll say, that we can't choose more discernment to be able to bring it back to a balanced space, because it is a lot of energy that we hold that we're attempting to discipline on the daily. That's a job all in itself. So
absolutely. And if I may add also, I think having kids for myself and for Adrian as well, who happens to be 2 years younger than me. So yes, I did well.
Just saying.
Younger biologically, but let's be real here.
Yeah, but look who you're talking about. We're all changing our cycles here, okay? It's only...
The age is really how you feel internally, right? And then your biological age is something else. But point being is also with Adrian, I feel like he had a lot of time on his own before he got into this relationship with me, and that was crucial for him to work out, his traumas and things that he needed to work on himself, because everybody does, right? And guided towards your best life, and that the best is yet to come. And then when it does happen, you just know. And I feel like, and I mentioned it on social media, on my Instagram and my Facebook's, like with the maternity photos, like this is the best chapter of my life. I may only be pregnant once. And, even in the
And you did that shoot so well. I was like, that is Anna pregnant. Like there could be no other way it could be done. And he was like, I was like, that is Anna showing up as her whole self. This is who I am, and this is my table. Like, it was too good.
And if you don't like it, it's not for everyone, right? If it's too sexy for you, I saw some comment like,
anyways, if you had done anything different, it would not have been who you are. It was fabulous. Adrian, is there anything you want to leave us with?
Yeah, I just want to say that, what this has taught me is that, you can literally accomplish, we are the stoppage or the continuation to our own happiness and success. It all comes within. And if you're not happy with where you are at personally or where something is at in your life, then change it.
Anna, Adrian, and Aria, I want to say my deepest gratitude to you for joining us and allowing me into this gorgeous moment. I wish you so much love and I cannot wait to see the adventures we all get up to. Thank you so much for dropping by Stories Not to Take to the Grave. I hope you feel inspired to take more time to listen to your own internal wisdom and to find the courage to share your story. If you like this content, please share, subscribe, and I would be ever so grateful if you took the time to leave a review. Until next time, keep on digging.